I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. We are going to be talking about a lot of light, and first of all, I want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holiday. And so I'm sure you're probably having a pretty good time today, maybe a little too busy to watch the show actually. But don't worry, you can get it anytime you want on YouTube under the Karen Campbell channel. And so today's show is called Wiping the Slate Clean. And that is a good thing to be thinking about right now, because on Monday we are having the second new moon of the whole year in Capricorn, which is a sign that rules your 10th house of career and your standing, your public reputation and your standing in the community, and it rules rewards that you've earned for hard work over a long period of time. And so Capricorn's ruler is Saturn. Saturn is the planet of time. And so this is probably time when you may feel that you have reached a certain mark or a certain point in your life or in your career ambitions where you may decide to wipe the slate clean in one way or another. And that would be a good idea. And the reason why is this new moon on Monday is beautifully aspected. And that is because the sun and the new moon are both at 10 degrees of Capricorn, and Capricorn is a cardinal sign. But there aren't any planets in any of the other cardinal signs. There's nothing squaring or opposing this new moon. That's why you should really think about, we're entering a new year. Maybe you want to wipe the slate clean and go in a new direction. Well, actually, that's a good idea, because this is a time, since there are no planets in Aries or in Cancer or in Libra to square or oppose the new moon, there's nothing stopping it, which is great. And Uranus in Taurus is actually backing it up and trining it. That little Uranus in Taurus is in a little bit of trouble right now, and it's a malefic planet, but we'll get to that in a moment. So this is a time when it would be good for you to consider wiping the slate clean. It could happen in a variety of different ways. One of them is that you could just be deciding that you are ready to retire. And so if you can do that, at least you would be looking at getting a lot more rest in the new year. That would be great. And also it can be, particularly in America, where people who retire from one job only do that so they can turn around and start something else that they've been dying to do. That could really happen for you too, as you wipe the slate clean from an old activity that you had been involved with and you look forward to something new. It would be something that would involve a career choice of yours or some work that you do in the public eye. And it would also be possible because it might generate long-term rewards for other people, such as you doing charity work, or it could generate long-term rewards for you by enhancing your reputation in the community for the good work that you could be deciding to do that would benefit others. That would be great. So this idea of wiping the slate clean is a really good idea because you don't have anything really stopping you. And so if you are in any kind of a position to be thinking about some sort of career choice, and remember, it doesn't have to be a new job. It might be that you want to retire from your old job, but that would be just fine. This is actually one of the best times that you could choose for something like that, because at the start of 2024, we did have a new moon. The first one of the year in January was in Capricorn. This new moon is the second one. Very few sun signs ever have two new moons in one year in their sign. But I think that what it designates is that we all have the ability to think over what our actions have been lately or in the last few years and how the world is changing as well. And we may decide that we want to wipe the slate clean from certain activities that we've outgrown or that we're tired of, or jobs that just don't exist. Maybe an employer is laying off people. And so you can wipe the slate clean that way and go in a new direction. And so that'll work out really well for you. And if you're thinking of taking on some other career challenge right now, I don't see anything stopping you. I would advise you to do that. You may have good reason to do that, or you may just want to try something new. And this is a great time to move forward with that, particularly if you're tired of something, or particularly if you know the thrill is gone. Then try something that gives you a better thrill or a better challenge in your future, because I think that would give you a greater purpose in your life. And also it would benefit the community, since Capricorn does rule the 10th house of your career and your public standing. But Capricorn rules a lot of other things as well. First of all, it rules, since its ruler is Saturn and Saturn rules time, Capricorn rules old age. And Capricorns tend to live a very long time. They just have to have enough money to do that on. And so Capricorn rules bureaucracies. And it rules administrative work. Capricorns do not like to skip steps. Actually, not a lot of the earth signs like to do that. They're very thorough. And so Capricorns make very able administrators. Because no matter where they fit in the organization, they're going to make sure the job gets done. Or whatever their responsibility is, and anyone else's responsibility underneath them, they're going to make sure that all that flows along, because they have a natural talent for doing that. Because the byword for Capricorn is perseverance. Okay, we're not talking about speed here. We're talking about never giving up and going forward and sticking to something, and it's got to make sense. And so they're not interested in how fast they can get the job done. They're interested in how well it turns out. And so they're in it for the long haul. And generally in your career, that would be your retirement. But Capricorn also rules other things. Capricorn rules the skin, and it rules the knees. So if you've ever had problems with your knees, it might be because of some aspect that is not favorable toward Saturn in your chart, or else toward Capricorn in your chart. I don't know. But Capricorn does rule the knees as well. And so all that sounds great, but there are still some things that you need to watch out for, and they present long-term challenges, but also shorter-term challenges. And that is because if the only two planets in the cardinal signs are the Sun and the Moon in Capricorn on Monday, then that means that there's other planets that are challenging each other, and that's what's happening. Among the fixed signs, there are 4 planets that are still, same 4 planets, that are still squaring and opposing each other, and we really have to watch out for that. That could be another reason why you would be wise to wipe the slate clean, because Mars is now at 2 degrees of Leo, it's retrograde, and it is being opposed exactly by Pluto at 1 degree of Aquarius, but Pluto is direct. And Venus is also in Aquarius. Aquarius rules the future. And Mars in Leo could also rule gambling. It could be that a gamble has not paid off. It could be that Leo rules love affairs. Love affairs could be in trouble. And so it can be because somebody else has their eye on the future and is looking for better partners for their future goals. And somebody else is sort of wanting to be the boss. And that wouldn't go over with other people who are off and wanting to start new things, particularly if they're following their own ideas. And so these 2 planets, particularly Mars at 2 degrees of Leo and Pluto at 1 degree of Aquarius, those are the rulers of Scorpio, which is a fixed financial sign, which means people have money problems now. And it could be from bad gambles that have to be paid off, or chances that people have taken that just haven't worked out. And then that is because these 3 planets are all being harshly squared by another malefic planet, Uranus, which is retrograde in Taurus, the other fixed financial sign. So long term, there are financial problems. There could be a fall in investments, and if there is a fall in your investments and you're not getting as much return from them, that would be a good reason to wipe the slate clean in one way or another as well. I mean, don't go down with a sinking ship. So you may have to make adjustments, financial adjustments, and cut costs, or your employer could be doing that in the new year. So those things those are reasons why people can be wanting to wipe the slate clean and maybe start anew somewhere else. A shorter reason for that, of a shorter duration, can be that there are planets in the mutable signs, which are generally very agreeable, but they're having a hard time getting along now too. And the reason why is that Saturn and Neptune, which is the ruler of Pisces, are both in that sign, and they are direct. And so they're very strong. Neptune's the strongest planet because it's the only one at home in the sign it rules. And so they are all squaring another planet, Jupiter, which is retrograde in Gemini. And so people who want to make quick decisions or work on part-time or temporary things, or even people who are much younger, are having problems with others from behind the scenes that are operating on their own agenda, or they may have long-term goals that don't meet the needs of younger people or of people who just want to work part-time, or there could be arguments there. Saturn is a malefic planet, it's squaring Jupiter, which is too bad, and Jupiter is retrograde. Now, that Jupiter is not in that much trouble, and that's because it's being trined beautifully by Venus and Pluto in Aquarius. So another reason, or a final reason why you can be wanting to wipe the slate clean now, is because there are still 3 retrograde planets, and they are all in 1/3 of your chart. And they sort of are following in succession. So there's at least 1/3 of your life that isn't working out well, or that is stuck in the past. And that is because Uranus is retrograde in Taurus. Right ahead of that is Jupiter, which is retrograde in Gemini. And then there's nothing in Cancer, but right ahead of that is Mars, which is retrograde in Leo. So you see, that's 1/3 of your chart. And these retrograde planets means that something is stalled in your life. And it cannot go forward the way your other future plans, the way you want your future plans to go, because something is stalled. And that may bring you to a point where you're deciding, well, is this really worth it? Or should I wipe the slate clean? And I would consider wiping the slate clean. And the reason why is Capricorn is the sign, its ruler is Saturn, which rules time. And Saturn is in Pisces. It's sextiling the new moon in Capricorn. It's backing it up. So is Neptune in Pisces. And that is sort of an indication that it's time for you to decide whether you want to stick with something or whether you want to wipe the slate clean and start something new. And I really urge you to wipe the slate clean. You may have waited long enough for something. If it hasn't happened, give up. Because you are aspected if you do wipe the slate clean, if you stop living in the past, if you try to be a little bit gentler on yourself, maybe go from full-time to part-time work if that's better for your health, then that's fine. Wipe the slate clean and do it. And that would be a good start to the new year. It might be less demanding upon you, but why shouldn't you be gentler with yourself? That would be fine. Just remember that Capricorn is a sign that goes the distance because its ruler is Saturn, and Saturn rules time. And that's why it rules your 10th house of career and your public reputation, and it rewards earned the hard way over a long period of time. Older people could certainly benefit greatly from this new moon because there's nothing challenging this new moon. There's nothing squaring and opposing it. So I hope that offers you a little bit of hope yourself for being able to wipe the slate clean in favor of something in your future that you would rather be doing, or someone that you would rather be with. Give it a try. I don't think there's anything stopping you. Okay, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Well, Aries, for you, I think, Aries, that you can be embroiled a little bit with some sort of financial concerns right now. And the reason why is that there are malefic planets that are caught up in a harsh square or opposition in the fixed signs, and two of them would directly affect you, Aries. One of them is Mars, your own ruler, which is in Leo, but it is trining your sun, which is good. But the problem is it's retrograde and it's taking a beating because Pluto and Venus are opposing it. And then Uranus, which is right ahead of your sun sign Aries, is also retrograde in a fixed financial sign. And it too, as a malefic planet, is squaring that Mars in Leo. So your own ruler, Mars, trines your sun. This could give you a lot of energy, Aries, but I urge you, it could give you the kind of energy that makes you want to pound harder or insist more on something or really go after the money. And you know, you don't want to take no for an answer. And I urge you to back off, Aries, because the sun and the new moon in Capricorn on Monday square your sun. And they are not, there's no harsh aspect to them at all. Whereas there are harsh aspects among your rulers and in planets ahead of you. And also the 3 retrograde planets are all right ahead of your sun sign. If you continue along your current aims without considering any alteration or any change at all, or without even considering wiping the slate clean and sort of going in a new direction, something in your life will be stalled. It will just be stalled. It won't go forward, it won't go backward, it won't do anything. It will be stalled. Because all the 3 retrograde planets are right ahead of your sun sign right now, and your ruler is being besieged in Leo, even though it's trining your sun, and the sun and new moon are squaring your sun. If anybody was going to wipe the slate clean and consider making a new start, it should be you, Aries. And you know, Aries, you should do that. Even though you could say, oh, I'm not ready to do that. I still want this, or I still want to do that. You know, I would shorten the time span for you to keep pursuing the past when actually there's a second solar eclipse in your sign this spring, and because it's in your sign and it's a solar eclipse, which always denotes a new beginning, you would be wiser to spend your time dropping what isn't working and clearing the slate so that you can get ready for a new start. And there was a solar eclipse in your sign last spring, Aries. If you didn't get a new start off the ground last spring, this spring's going to be your last chance to do it. And that's what you should be concentrating on. So I strongly suggest, rather than moving into a giant stall and not just sort of being in no man's land, why don't you wipe the slate clean? Start planning for a new start. Because you know, 2 solar eclipses in your sign, one right after, you know, the other, 2 years in a row, that won't be happening again. So you ought to take advantage of that, Aries. Don't stay stuck in the past when, if you wipe the slate clean, that future would look really bright for you. Even if you weren't completely certain of where you're going in the future, the possibility is there, and sticking with, you know, what you want or the way you want it to be is only going to turn into a giant stall. You won't get what you want, and you know, you'll be hung up. Don't do that. Aries doesn't like that. Aries likes to move forward. And so I hope you look at something in your future down the road that you ought to be getting ready for, and wipe the slate clean right now. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus. This is a time, Taurus, when you are still caught up in the challenges that can be presented, and they're long-term challenges, since yours is a fixed sign, because Mars in Leo is squaring Uranus in your sign, and both these planets are retrograde, and they're both malefic planets. You may have been subject to sudden alteration in the value of your investments, or sudden high costs that probably are really hitting you right now at the holiday time, Taurus. And so the bills could be high right now. Or you could be looking forward to how many taxes you're going to be owing, and that could be high too, Taurus. But this new moon in Capricorn on Monday, it's the second new moon in Capricorn for this year, is not squared or opposed by anything, and it trines your sun, Taurus. And so that would be the time for you to be considering retirement, if you could, because you probably would have the money to retire on, and that would give you a boost to your health, because you wouldn't be exhausted in any way, or you wouldn't be facing the pressures that you face in your everyday normal work life. And so this new moon does benefit retirees. And since it's trining your sun, Taurus, you should retire because there's nothing stopping it. You might be retiring sort of just in the nick of time, meaning that Venus, your own ruler, is in Aquarius, squaring your sun. That's not too good for any financial affairs, or even for your health. That's not too good. And Pluto is also in Aquarius, squaring Uranus in your sign, and these two planets are also opposing Mars as well, which is squaring your sign. And so you're facing challenges. A Taurus is a strong-willed person, very determined. It's the sign of the bull. So a Taurus is very strong, but strength doesn't win every battle, Taurus. And yours is a financial sign, and it is a little bit better for you to sit back and start looking at the money, not just what has been coming in and how many costs there are around that, or taxes that you have to pay, but how much pressure, how much financial pressure do you want in your future? Because with this new moon trining your sun, this would be an excellent time for you to retire. Now, Capricorn does rule careers. You could change your career. That would be good too. Or you could start your own business. And maybe your business would just have an employee of one, you. But then you'd get along really well with that employee, at least. There wouldn't be any problems there. And you could have things your way. And with your vast prior work experience, maybe that would be a good idea for you. Plus, you could set your own hours. There is certainly going to be something in your life in 2025, okay, in the new year coming up, that will require that you pay much more attention to your health, Taurus, and that could benefit you. But I'm urging you to think of taking it a little bit easier, particularly this next year. Because there's going to be eclipses in Virgo, which rules health and the healthcare field. One of the things that you might want to do, and this would make your retirement rather timely right now, is you may be able to get pretty good health insurance terms now. That may not be true next year, because there's going to be changes in the healthcare field. And so that's another consideration. So anyway, this new moon does trine your sun. You have to think real carefully about what you're doing in your career and what it's doing to you, to your health, to your psychological outlet, to the fact that you may have been working so hard that you haven't had time to develop your other talents. And when were you going to do that, Taurus? And so, you know, this is a very good time to wipe the slate clean. I hope you consider it, because the stars are with you. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, this is a time, Gemini, when you may be facing some sort of a stall in your life. And the stall is, it's a period of time in between what you have been gearing up to do, or what you have done in the past, or what you're planning to do in the future, and things that are just a little bit stalled in your life right now. Now, why would they be stalled? Well, it might be that other people are not being as cooperative. It might be the weather that's stalling you. It might be that you do not have all of your plans in place at the moment, and that's why there's a stall. It could be you just need a little more time to develop your plans. And when Jupiter does go direct, it's going to be in your sign until next summer. When it does go direct, your plans will just go forward, Gemini. You won't have to worry about that, because your sign has backup. And that backup is really great right now. It is from Pluto and from Venus in Aquarius trining your sun. The future is calling you, Gemini. And this is why you too should wipe the slate clean. you should consider some kind of change in your career or in your lifestyle or even in the location where you live. Your sign rules neighborhoods. There may be another neighborhood that would be more congenial for you. I don't know. But the thing is, you have the ability to be very flexible and changeable and adaptable. And I just think since these 3 retrograde planets, Uranus in Taurus, Jupiter in your sign, and Mars in Leo, are taking up space, about a third of everyone's chart right now, that matters can be stalled. But it won't last, Gemini. And you have some very good backup. And if you don't know who the backup is, who's somebody who's influential, pretty high up in a large corporation, government agency, or institution, if you don't know who they are, that's what could be stalled. Maybe they're wanting to contact you, but it's the holidays and that hasn't happened yet. But it probably will, because those aspects are trining your sun. So I think that you'll have to put up with some sort of delay right now, and that will probably lead you to deciding whether you should just wipe the slate clean and start all over somewhere else, or whether you should keep waiting for something to happen. If I were you, I would at least set a deadline, Gemini, and just say, okay, if this doesn't happen by this time, forget it. And then just go on. The reason why I would suggest you get pretty practical about time management right now, Gemini, is because Jupiter's not going to stay in your sign, but it is in your sign once every 12 years, and that's where it is right now, even if it is retrograde. And it'll be there until this summer. And this is a very good time for you to get out in the public more and circulate and let people know what you're thinking, and listen to other people's ideas or get further information and develop your future plans a little bit more. By talking to people that you feel are very knowledgeable in their own field, you will be getting great advice, but also they will be able to meet you and make a favorable impression of you as well, and that could help you out in the future. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer, there isn't anything in your sign right now, Cancer, but ooh, there are 3 retrograde planets and they're all around your sign, Cancer. And that is because Uranus is in Taurus and it is retrograde and it's a malefic planet under harsh aspects. Jupiter is in Gemini right behind your sun sign and it's retrograde. And then right ahead of your sun sign is Mars, another malefic planet in Leo, retrograde, and being squared by that Uranus and opposed by Pluto and Venus in Aquarius. Cancer, it may not be happening to you, but I think it's happening very close to you, that some people really need to give up. And they need to wipe the slate clean. In other words, their lifestyle could have become too costly, very expensive. They may have made gambles they can't pay off, or they may have bills that are really high. Or it may just be suffering the lowering of the value of their investments. And these retrograde planets around your sign, Cancer, mean that something is stalled. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are stalled, Cancer, but conditions and people around you are stalled. And you'll have to decide whether you want to just stay with things that are stalled that you can't do anything about because it's not your fault. Other people who are in a stall right now, who you know, Cancer, it's up to them to get out of it. You didn't cause it and you can't cure it. Your sign doesn't have anything in it. And it's being trined beautifully by Saturn and by Neptune in Pisces. And Neptune is direct. And so behind the scenes, Cancer, you should sort of tune out all these other people that can't decide what they want to do and just leave them alone. You can't do anything about it. You could talk to them forever and they still would not be able to decide what they're going to do. So just let them drift away if you can, Cancer, and concentrate on what's something really important behind the scenes, which I would say has ripened. Okay, it's that Neptune is direct, it's the ruler of the sign, it's the strongest planet in the heavens right now, and it's heading out of the sign. And so it's at 27 degrees, it's only got 3 more degrees to go, and it'll be there by March and gone. And so there is something on your mind, or on your agenda, or there's some wish list that you've got, and you know what's on that wish list, Cancer. And if you sit around and do nothing, or you listen to other people complain about things that they're not doing anything about as well, you are risking losing something that would make a huge difference in your life. And the difference would be the difference between being happy or not for the rest of your life. There's something that you should be going for, because it's sort of ready. And if you don't go for it, if you hang out with everyone else who's undecided, you'll be the loser, Cancer. The full moon, or the new moon in Capricorn with the sun there, both the lights, oppose your sun sign. Somebody else has big career ambitions. I don't think that you're thinking about careers as much as you're thinking about how you feel about somebody, or how you feel about a human condition. The Cancer rules our feelings. Your feelings actually have wonderful support right now, because Saturn, the planet of time, which is the ruler of Capricorn, and Neptune are trining your sun. So it can be, if you are thinking of wiping the slate clean, maybe that slate is a slate of how you feel about certain people, and that you should wipe it clean, some of it. But whoever stays on that slate that is really important to you, it's up to you to do something about it, because they're ready, Cancer. Whoever it is that you've been caring about for a long time, or a situation, they're ready now. And you'll miss it if you don't respond to that, to how you feel about somebody who's ready now. And they say timing is everything. That is so true. So try to face your feelings and be honest, and wipe the slate clean of everything that's just filling up your time but doesn't really mean that much to you. Wipe the slate clean of all that, so that you have room for something that is really important to you behind the scenes. And I would say it's something or someone that you cannot afford to lose, Cancer. Because if there was a loss, it would be you with the broken heart. So wipe the slate clean of superficial feelings and look at what's deep in your heart. Do something about it right now while you have some good backing. Good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, this is a time, Leo, when, at the end of the year, which is when this new moon is hitting on Monday, on December 30th, we pretty much all have to sort of think of, okay, what did this year cost, and what is next year going to cost? And we're going to have to be looking at our bills, and also on what our plans are. And your sign, Leo, rules extravagance. So Leos are very open-handed. They're very generous. They like to spend money. And so that's fine, except that Leo, sooner or later the bills do come due. And that could be happening right now. In fact, you could be suffering from the thought of higher costs that are really hitting you right now, since Uranus in Taurus, which rules investments, means that the value of your investments may be lower right now. But it also could mean that if you have invested in something that sort of got a high price tag on it, and the maintenance is also high, and the taxes are high, then that's what you're stuck with. And as you go forward, that can be quite a burden on your shoulders. And so, Leo, you have to be really careful right now of how you're handling your money. And for certain, Leo, I guarantee you have to downsize in one way or another. If you've been living a lavish lifestyle, okay, well, the holidays are over pretty soon. You got to go back to living something that's a little more affordable. Or it can be that you might even consider taking a second job in order to pay your bills, because you do have more bills than you're comfortable with, or the costs are too high on something, or you've been paying that for a long time, and you can see how it's just draining your resources. And so, Leo, you're going to have to cut your budget, and you're going to have to change your lifestyle. And that's why if you wipe the slate clean of activities or groups or financial commitments that have all grown too costly for you, and just wipe the slate clean of those and make a new start this year, particularly by this spring when there's an eclipse in Aries that trines your sun, you will be much happier for that. You sort of have to get your financial house back in order, Leo. And yet you still want to be happy and do things. But gee whiz, Pluto and Venus in Aquarius are opposing that Mars. Pluto's at 1 degree, Mars is at 2 degrees. It's an exact opposition. If you're bargaining with somebody and you're holding out to get things on your terms, it's not going to happen, Leo. You should settle financial arguments. Just settle them. Because then you can wipe the slate clean. You may have to write something off, but it's better than leaving it hanging and having your costs continue to grow. You cannot afford that, Leo. So think a little bit more about wiping the slate clean now. Settle for less and get it behind you, because the solar eclipse in Aries is going to help you if you're in a position to take advantage of it. And that's what you have to get ready for. And that's this spring. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, this Capricorn sun and new moon, which has no challenges to it at all on Monday, does trine your sun, which is great. And so, Virgo, I think that you're going to get a chance to do something that is connected with the things that Capricorn rules. You may get a promotion and your career would be enhanced. Or you may decide you've worked long enough and you want to retire. You probably would be able to afford to do that, Virgo, because Virgo rules banking. They like to know where every penny is, and they generally do know that. So you may also see that the investment climate is not what it used to be, and you may decide that you need to perhaps get out, wipe the slate clean, get out of some investments. You may not know where you're going to be putting additional money, but at least you'd have it in your hands, Virgo. That's the important thing going forward, because there are eclipses in your sign in 2025, and I think that it would behoove you to wipe the slate clean of an expensive lifestyle or of obligations that, even if you can't afford them, are they really necessary? Are they sort of, frivolous? But sure, you could pay for them. 2025 is not the year when you can think like that, Virgo. It simply means that this new moon will give you a chance to wipe the slate clean of activities that you have outgrown or that have become too costly. Or even if you can afford them now, maybe you can see down the road that they will become even more costly. And you ought to head that off. Don't wait till the other shoe drops, Virgo. It'll be too late. So this is a year when you really need to hold on to what's yours. And very carefully do that. So that when there are fluctuations in the investment world or when economic times change, you are not too radically affected. This is a year, the new year that's coming up, Virgo, is a year when you should try very hard not to get your boat rocked. And you're going to have to spend some extra effort to make sure that does not happen. And so that's why I'm saying wiping the slate clean right now of some things that have been somewhat of a waste of your time or a waste of your money. Now's the time to do that, particularly since the new moon's trining your sun. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, this is a time, Libra, when I think that you're going to be able to see the possibilities sort of down the road of a future that's better than how you're living now. And the reason why is that Pluto is in your sign, and so is Venus. No, Pluto is in Aquarius, and so is Venus, and they are trining your sign. And Jupiter, which is retrograde in Gemini, is also trining your sign. And so somehow, Libra, you can either walk into, or you can be surrounded by people who are interested in you, and they want to get to either know you a little bit better, but they like you, or else they can see the potential of adding you to their group. In other words, they could be people that would say, well, we know we want to do something here, and this is a person that looks like they have the qualities or the talent or the experience to help us do it. And so there are other people that have their eye on you right now, Libra. And you should try very hard to do your best and look your best right now, because your own ruler is trining your sun. It's just that yours is a cardinal sign. And on Monday, the sun and the new moon in Capricorn, which are not opposed or squared by anything, so they're having a field day, they do square your sun, Libra. So there's a career matter that you have to think about. Or there can be the idea of retirement. If you are in retirement, you may meet some people that want you to come out of retirement and join them. And I would suggest you do that, Libra, because Jupiter is going to be trining your sun clear till next summer, and Pluto is going to be trining your sun for years. Now you would have the opportunity, even if you didn't need the money, and even if you didn't want to go back to work even more, still you should. And the reason why is that you would have the opportunity to do something new that would take you into the future. And there would be good people around that will help you with that want you to join them. And it's better than living in the past, or it's better than doing nothing. And so I hope that you consider that, put your best foot forward right now, Libra, because there are some people that are more attracted to you than you realize. And they'll want you to sort of come out of your shell and change a little bit. And I advise you to do that. Don't turn your back on your future. That's never a good idea. Particularly when Pluto is going to be trining your sun for years to come. You'll be able to meet very influential people, and you should say yes to that. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, this is a time, Scorpio, when I think that you are going to be faced with trying to decide how you can wipe the slate clean. It's not if you can wipe the slate clean. It's, okay, you need to do that. How are you going to be able to do that? Now, why? The reason why is twofold. The first reason why you're going to need to wipe the slate clean somewhere is that things are costing you too much, Scorpio. And whatever's costing you too much, which involves other people, they're actually not worth it. In other words, you're spending a lot of money on people that aren't worth it. Now, I don't mean that people are a commodity with a price tag on them. What I mean is that they're not your type. Okay? And so when you're around and you're spending money on people that you are not getting real enjoyment out of, or they don't stimulate you, or they don't inspire you to do more, they're just sort of hanging on, that's really costing you a lot. And it isn't just that it's costing you money, Scorpio. It's costing you the opportunity to use your talent in a better way. Not only just to help yourself, but maybe to help others. Okay, so there's people around that are sort of preventing you from a better future. Now, why am I so sure about that? Because your rulers are in trouble. And whenever the rulers of a sign are in trouble, so is the sun sign. Not completely. You have Saturn and Neptune trining your sun. So behind the scenes, there is somebody very inspirational that is really worth it. And And you should stick with them for sure, Scorpio, because they inspire you. And they will lead you further than you can get on your own. So that's why you should stay with them or go with them. But currently, Pluto, your ruler, is in Capricorn at 1 degree, or not Capricorn, but Aquarius at 1 degree, which is a sign of the future, and it is being opposed by Mars, which is retrograde in Leo, at 2 degrees. It's really a really tight opposition. Oppositions always represent separations. Somebody either wants to separate you from your money, or you're wanting to be separated from them and their financial problems. Either way, there's a financial problem there, and you know, Scorpio, you should not stick around. You should wipe the slate clean of that problem. If you've taken a gamble and you've lost money on the gamble, sell it. Get out from under. And the reason why is we would be all making quite a big mistake to think that everything's going to be the same in 2025 that it was in 2024. It's not going to happen like that. The whole world is facing changes. Basically, this is because the planets are going crazy next year. And what they're doing that is so crazy, and why we're going to watch that, I have already made a list of all of this for the whole year, actually, is that planets are going to go forward, then they're going to turn around and go retrograde, and then they'll be making different aspects to other ones that are going to go forward, who are also going backward. It's the planets don't quite know which way to go next year, and that's going to have an effect on us. And so this is a time, Scorpio, when you really need to face the fact that some people are weighing you down, and it can be because they're saying they have financial problems, but it can also be if you have gambled on anything, then you would have the financial problems, and you need to realize you're paying too much for something, and you need to try to sell it and get rid of it. Just get out from under. Wipe the slate clean. The sun and the new moon in Capricorn, which are not being opposed or squared by anything, actually sextile your sun. And it's your rulers that are in trouble. And Uranus and Taurus is squaring that Pluto. Mars is opposing that Pluto. And Pluto represents influential people who are pretty high up in upper management, in large corporations, government agencies, or institutions. And you actually cannot afford to lose any friends at that level, Scorpio. And it's looking, since these things are in harsh square and oppositions, that you could be losing friends. So you need to wipe the slate clean from something that you've been doing, and either stop doing that thing or stop being with people that are just dragging you down and not uplifting you. Because you're also losing the influence of other people who can be uplifting. And I don't think you can afford to do that, Scorpio. So, you know, Saturn and Neptune in Pisces are trining your sun. That means if you go behind the scenes and you particularly hook up with somebody that you know is inspirational and is sort of a guiding light, even if you haven't even met them yet, but you know that they are like that, you should make every effort now to meet up with them. They could even save your life, Scorpio. I'm not saying that your life is being physically threatened, but they could still save your life in one way or another. A rescue. But Neptune's been in Pisces for 12 years, trining your sun the whole time. But it isn't going to be there. It's leaving in March. And some additional support or love or protection behind the scenes from somebody who really is inspirational and not always full of problems and stuff, but just somebody who's sort of unique, one of a kind, might be able to save your life somehow. by affording some sort of rescue. This could happen at any time in your life. I don't mean that you're in danger at the moment, Scorpio, but your rulers are. That's not too good. And so I would get out of financial things that are holding you back right now. At least do that, if you can. All right, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Well, Sagittarius. This is a time, Sagittarius, when you can be looking around and you can sort of be wondering, hey, what's going on in the world? Because in all of our charts, 1/3 of our chart has matters which are being stalled right now by planets which are retrograde. So Uranus is retrograde in Taurus, and then Jupiter is retrograde in Gemini. You should really pay attention to that, Sagittarius, because Jupiter is your own ruler, but it's opposing your sun sign, and it's retrograde. And then Mars is in Leo, and it's retrograde, but it's trining your sun. That means that you have a choice, Sagittarius. Do you want to sort of step from the frying pan into the fire? You could do it. Mars is trining your sun. That Mars is taking a hit right now in Leo, but if you want to get in the middle of somebody else's fight and you feel that, gee, that's your calling to do it, you can do it. Mars is trining your sun. But, you know, not all the good things would stay with you, and you need to think about that. And so, you know, I think you, Sagittarius, are a person who needs to wipe the slate clean a little bit. And the reason why is there can be people around you that actually represent a way of dragging you down or holding you back to your past, when actually that isn't the way life works. We all have tomorrow. We really do. You know, the sun rises every day. We've got a new day in front of all of us. But that's not the same as going back to the past. That's not really possible. The past keeps moving further and further that way. And we are supposed to keep up with the future. Well, Jupiter is in Gemini, it's your ruler, and it rules neighborhoods, and it rules short forms of communication, and it rules part-time or temporary work, and it rules easy transitional change, moving around from one place to another, and short journeys. And so Gemini rules all that, and the only good thing about it, Jupiter being retrograde, is that it's being trined beautifully by Venus and Pluto in Aquarius. Do you see, Sagittarius, that if you stepped out of the shadows of your past, or past associations, which are actually not doing you a whole lot of good right now, and instead you looked forward, even if it was just a few steps forward, or something temporary in your future, it would tend to be quite profitable for you, more profitable than you think. Jupiter is a planet of benevolence and goodness and profit, and it's your ruler. It's just retrograde right now. I think you just need to wipe the slate clean of some people who have, they want to hold you back to your past. And yours is a dynamic fire sign, which is an intellectual sign ruled by Jupiter, and intellectually, there are some people around you right now, Sagittarius, they aren't doing anything for your brain except boring you. And you don't need that. You need stimulation. You need big issues to consider. You have a fine mind. And so you need to wipe the slate clean of people who are actually dulling your mind. It's like clean house, Sagittarius. You could say these are all great people, but how does that get you forward? We only have 24 hours a day. Some of it we have to eat and sleep. And then what are you doing with the rest of your time, Sagittarius? Because you've got to make it count more. And this new moon in Capricorn, which is right ahead of your sun sign and doesn't have a single wrong thing with it, points to a more serious step in your career, or meeting people who require more from you, but you'd get more out of it too. A challenge that you can meet, and you'd be happy to do it. You'd be well rewarded. So think about that, Sagittarius. Some of your time in your day is wasted, and you got to turn that around a little bit. Otherwise, you're just in a giant stall. What good is that going to do you? And fire signs don't like that. So think about it. All right, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, lucky you, the new moon is in your sun sign. That is just great. And so that means, Capricorn, that since there are no squares or oppositions to this new moon on Monday at 10 degrees of Capricorn in your sign, that you should be getting some very good news, Capricorn. Now, the good news could be something, oddly enough, that is no stranger to you. In other words, you could have been thinking of doing something, but you hadn't quite done it yet. But you could have been preparing to do it for a long time, or meaning to do it, or setting up different ways to do it that had to be in place first before it could go forward. And I think that preparation, or whatever you had to do to move forward now, all that's done. And now the good news is you can go forward. And there's nothing stopping you, Capricorn. Nothing. You want to retire? Fine. Go right ahead and do it. Do you want to change careers? Wipe the slate clean from something you've been doing and head off in a new direction? Well, you certainly can. And since your sign has nothing to do with speed, Capricorn, because Saturn is your ruler and Saturn rules time, you don't have to worry about getting too tired if you start something new. You're going to do fine because you've got time on your side, Capricorn. You've got enough time. Capricorns live to be 100. And so just keep your same steadied pace, but a period of time of what you might call preparation or planning, or just taking one step at a time, or putting yourself in a better position to go forward. All of that, I think, is done now. That's the good news. And now I think that you are going to go ahead and take a stronger step forward. And what the result of that will be that it will validate what you've been doing. Okay, so you must be going to have a business relationship with somebody. Maybe it's I don't know how. Excuse me. But it will validate what you want to do, or who you are, and where you're going. And there will be absolutely nothing to stop you. This is the right time. You may never have two new moons in your sign ever again in your life, Capricorn. Particularly not one that has no squares or oppositions to it. So I hope you go forward. And the good news is that you can do it. Capricorns can sometimes doubt themselves. Saturn is a planet of doubt. That Saturn is in Pisces, sextiling your sun. And Neptune, the strongest planet in the heavens right now, is also in Pisces, sextiling your sun. If you wanted to make a dream come true, one that you'd had for a very long time, there's nothing stopping you, Capricorn. You can do it. And what's even more important is, you can do it because you're ready, you're prepared. You did all that preparation work maybe years ago, or maybe you're doing it now. But I think the world's going to know about it as you step out into the world a little bit more. That'll work. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius. This is a time, Aquarius, when there are some financial problems that can be facing you. I'm not so sure that you made them, Aquarius. And also I think that you'll almost have a sort of like a little back door where you can get out of something if you want to. Because Jupiter is in Gemini, trining your sun right now, where you have Pluto and Venus. But that Pluto and Venus are under duress. And that's because Mars and Leo is opposing them, and Uranus and Taurus is squaring them. And so you do have support behind the scenes, and you'll have more of it once Jupiter goes direct in Gemini. So that's great. So you might have one person supporting you now behind the scenes, Aquarius, but you're going to have two as soon as Jupiter goes direct. Because Gemini rules two of everything. And they might be younger than you. They might be something that's helping you with a future project, or people that are helping you or guiding you toward a future project of your own. And so that could work out. But in the meantime, I would say that there are people around you, Aquarius, who have financial problems of your own, and somehow they expect to have their financial problems land in your lap, and somehow you're supposed to fix them. They even expect you to do that, Aquarius. Oh, wipe the slate clean, Aquarius. You do not need that. If they got into a mess, just let them get out of it. And I know that you may not want to be quite that direct with them, but it may come down to that. It may come down to the realization that you need to wipe the slate clean from people who just expect to keep using you. Because your sign rules freedom. Aquarians don't like that. They like to be free to do what they want. It doesn't mean that they wouldn't include other people, but Aquarians are forward thinkers. And they're very, very creative. Aquarius rules music, but it rules space. It rules things ahead of their time. Pluto is now in your sign. Venus is there too. You may have picked up a good partner, or you may have met somebody recently that you know would really be able to help you on some future project. And if I were you, I'd follow up with them real quick, Aquarius, because I think you're right about that, because Venus is in your sign too. But on the other hand, the people that are hanging on, or the people that want you to spend your money solving their problems, that's what you need to wipe the slate clean of those people. You know, they're really playing you for a sucker, Aquarius. No matter what their sob story is, no matter how much they say they need you, they will say or do anything to use you. That's what Mars opposing Pluto in your sign means, is that they want to use you and your money. Mars and Pluto rule Scorpio. Scorpio's a financial sign. And so if they can use you, because poor them, they need you so much, it's only to get your money, Aquarius. You have got to say no to those people. Wipe the slate clean. Even if you can't get them out of your life at the moment, stop talking to them. Just be too busy. Don't answer the emails. Don't respond in any way. Ignore them. That's sort of a slow way of hoping they go find another sucker. But on the other hand, I don't think they will. These oppositions and squares are happening in fixed signs. They'll keep coming after you. And that's why you have to wipe the slate clean and head off into your rather bright future. You have a good future, Aquarius. Pluto's in Aquarius for the first time in our known time. It wasn't discovered until 1930. It's such a slow mover, it's just now gotten into Aquarius. And it's going to be with you for years, Aquarius. You will come into your own power. So don't let other people stop you from that. Because this is a unique time for you to sort of hear the call of the future and answer it. And with the right people too. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, this is a time, Pisces, when I think that yes, you're in the driver's seat because your ruler, Neptune, is the ruler of the sign and it's direct now, and Saturn is there as well. And then there's something else that's happening that's rather fortunate for you, Pisces, and it is that the new moon in Capricorn, along with the sun there on Monday, is, as I said, it's not being squared or opposed by anything, so it's not hurting anybody, it's not getting hurt either. And it sextiles your sun sign, Pisces. So on Monday you have the sun and the new moon sextiling your sign where you have Saturn and Neptune. And Neptune's the strongest planet because it rules the sign. And what does Capricorn rule? Your career and your public reputation and your standing in the community. And it seems to me, Pisces, that you're going to have some opportunity coming up that I think is job related or business related. And what it's going to do is it's going to put you a little bit more into the limelight. Your Pisces are pretty shy people. They're pretty nice people. They don't really, they don't want to hog the whole show or anything. They don't have a personality like that. But business is business, Pisces. And if somebody comes to you with a good business offer, you should really say yes. And wipe the slate clean of other things that you're doing in order to take advantage of some, what you might call, clean offer. Something where the people are really, they really mean what they say, and they could be offering you a job. They could be saying, gee, you have qualities or you have prior work experience that we really need right now. Would you join our team? Well, say yes, Pisces. This is just a time that is going to be pretty good for your career, or it's going to be pretty good for meeting influential people. You have Venus and Pluto in Aquarius right behind your sun sign. That's a pretty great place to have them, meaning that very quietly you could meet some people who would seem to be very nice people to meet. You'd like them, and you wouldn't even know how influential they are because they wouldn't be telling you about that. They're not full of their own ego. They're nice people. But you'd probably be able to meet some pretty influential people too. So if somebody has a job offer, or they want you to work on a committee, or they want you to join their group and they are a pretty serious, public-oriented group, I would say yes, Pisces. Wouldn't hurt you at all. And then there's nothing stopping this new moon. And so it would put you in contact with other people that would probably help you get ahead yourself. And that would be valuable, Pisces, because Pisces people are not pushy people. So they're not going to go out and they're not going to go out and push themselves on somebody else. But if you met somebody who was already influential and they asked you to join their group, then you could sort of go along for the ride, Pisces. And you could meet people that way without pushing yourself on anyone. Wouldn't hurt you, and it would make other people happy too. So wipe the slate clean of people that are yesterday's news or that belong to your past, because nobody can go back. The thing that we've got is tomorrow. And because we all have tomorrow, we all have a future, it means that you can make a fresh start anytime you want, any day you want. And this is a good time to be thinking about that, because that new moon sextiled two very strong planets in your own sign, Pisces. And in between these, the planets in Capricorn and the planets in your sign were two more planets. Venus and Pluto in Aquarius, the sign of the future. That's 6 planets there loading up on each other, all sextiling each other. You can't go wrong. And you don't even have to push yourself on anybody. You're going to meet some people that will ask you to join them. I would do that if I were you. Just say yes. You don't have anything to lose. Just put a smile on your face and go for it. Good luck. Okay. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I wish you a Merry Christmas, and I will see you right back here next week for Starborn, and we will be talking about the predictions for all of 2025, and it will be month by month, so we'll be covering the new moons and the eclipses for the whole year. And so stay tuned to that, folks. It will give you a little bit better idea of what's coming. All right, thanks so much, and once again, Merry Christmas. Bye.